Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's CJ. Welcome back to episode 13 of my 120 gallon reef system. Now it's going to be short and sweet. We're just going to focus on fish removal and the reasons for it. You know, we all answer that question at least one time in the hobby, looking at your tank and just thinking, am I really happy with the fish I have currently? Did I get the stock list right? You know, am I really going to be satisfied over the long haul with these fish? And more importantly, am I willing to take the steps needed to get those fish removed from the system and do something about it? So let's get down to business. You know, the first fish on the removal list is going to be my Christmas wrasse. I know some of you are wondering, didn't you just add this fish, CJ, like a week ago? And you are correct, 100%. But I would call this the definition of an impulse buy. Everyone does it, and honestly, I'm not immune to it either. But honestly, it's not necessarily because the fish is not beautiful or gorgeous, but more of the color scheme that I want in my tank and the activity level. Now we're going to dive into that subject a little deeper later in the video. For now, let's talk about catching fish. Honestly, there's multiple ways to try to trap a fish, and with different, varying levels of success, including a fish trap, which a lot of people are relying on these days, or, waiting for the fish to go to sleep, lights to turn out, 2-3 in the morning, flashlight in the net, catching it that way. Both are great ideas, but when it comes to a wrasse, especially a wrasse that buries itself, you got to change the game plan up, and you have to basically wait for it to be awake so that way you can see where it is. Now for me, catching a fish comes down to willpower. Am I going to give up and let the fish defeat me? And honestly, I'm proud to say I am undefeated when it comes to catching fish in my system. The main key to it is going to be having some kind of swim through or corridor to where you can isolate the fish and basically trick it to swimming into a net. I found that to be by far the most successful method of catching fish in my system. Now, I'm not saying this is the end-all be-all way of catching fish, and honestly, probably wouldn't work too well with someone with a fully stocked SPS tank, or even worse, a rockscape that's not glued like mine is. But I'll tell you, in the situation I have in my tank, it really makes it very easy to catch a fish. Now, if you guys recall, the title of this video was removing wrasses and tangs. So what tang did I remove, you guys may be wondering? Well, it was going to be the blue-eyed Kole Tang. If you've been following my channel, you're well aware that was the first tang I put in the tank, the first tang I've ever owned as far as being a reef keeper. And honestly, I wasn't satisfied. That's basically what it boils down to. With the coloration of that fish, he just was not giving me enough for the amount of bio load he was introducing into my system. Hard worker, not going to say that. Definitely did a great job grazing on the rocks. But when it comes to the color of that fish, from a distance, it basically looked like just a brown fish with a slightly yellow tail. Really couldn't see the blue or any of the blue specks or patterns on them until you got up close. So what's the next step? After spending around 30 minutes or so trying to catch a tang and a wrasse in my system, what am I going to do with these fish? Well, honestly, guys, they're going to temporarily live in the sump for another few days until I get a chance to swing by the LFS and trade these guys in for credit. Now, that credit's going to be applied to my next fish or my next piece of livestock. Whatever I decide, whatever is available in the LFS at that time, that's going to help me, finish my stock list and the color scheme I have in mind. So what am I looking for exactly? What's CJ's favorite flavor when it comes to fishing his reef tank? Honestly, it's all about movement. A specific body style fish that is mainly torpedo shaped, slender, that allows it to move in and out of the rock work, go through my swim throughs, hunt around the scape. So basically everything you see in the tank now is fitting that description. What you don't see in the tank is going to be firefish, cardinal fish, or bang-eye cardinals, or anything else that's going to stay in the water column stationary and just hang in one side of the tank. I'm really not going to add those fish to my system. Now, besides the body style and swimming pattern of the fish, I would have to say color is just as important when it comes to my selection. I'm really looking to touch as many things on the color wheel as possible. The blues, the browns, the yellows, the reds, the whites, the blacks, the purples. I want as many colors as possible in my reef tank. But there is one caveat to this. I don't want redundancy when it comes to similar color fish. So if I get a fish that matches one of those colors, I'm done looking for it. Now, you may look in my tank and see a yellow tang and a yellow wrasse. Yes, there are going to be some situations to where it may happen, but ultimately, guys, I'm really trying to make sure that every fish is unique in its own way, its own pattern, and hopefully its own color scheme. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea of why I actually removed the blue-eyed Kole and the Christmas Wrasse. It was mainly because the Kole Tang was not colorful enough, and the Tamini Tang just basically outshined them with the same brown body, but a lot more vivid colors along its tail and its orange fins. Christmas Wrasse was way too similarly colored to the Millionaires, and it just wasn't active enough. Now, the ideal way of doing this will be selecting the right fish the first time, doing your research and making sure you're happy with it before you introduce it to your tank and have to worry about chasing it and stressing it and just causing all kinds of drama getting that fish out. So me as a hobbyist, I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and I'm gonna try to do better with selecting the fish more specific to my needs and wants for this tank, whether it be colors or, more importantly, the job they're going to do for my tank, pest control, algae control, sandbed control, whatever the case may be. So hopefully that gave you guys a little more insight as far as why I'm doing certain things in the tank, especially when it comes to my stock list, the color scheme, and my willingness to get my hands in the tank and remove a fish if it doesn't match that. Ultimately, guys, your hobby is your hobby, so make sure you're doing what makes you happy. Now, for those that are wondering, we are getting so close to adding corals, I can taste it, guys. But I still have to release 2 other videos first. First one's going to be installing the calcium reactor and an apex controlling it. And the second is going to be lighting. We're going to cover everything related to Ocean Revive, the PAR, the spectrum, and everything else you need to know as far as lighting your reef tank the appropriate way. So definitely exciting times ahead. Hopefully, you guys are looking forward to it as well. So as always, hey, you guys can like, comment, subscribe. You guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing.